Welcome back to the Doomer Bloomers All Truths Only podcast with Will Nemo. We are talking about the hero's journey and how to get back into spirit and alignment and taking a doomer mindset and turning it into a bloomer. Today on the podcast, I have Nicolette Nierras, all the way from Malaysia, the capital thereof, which I can't pronounce very well.
Let's try.
What it Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur. There we go. And
Close.
it's how many? What's the temperature there right now, Nick?
Right now, wow. Okay. Let me see. Let me grab my phone quickly. It's 26 degrees. Well, that's pretty
Celsius.
Celsius. Yeah.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay. And you just said you're just getting out of the rainy season.
Yes.
Wow. And in
Mm-hmm.
here in Canada, in buttfuck nowhere, um, we're just leaving. We are just starting to leave winter behind, even though we had snow this morning, and we're talking all things hero's journey. Nick's hero's journey from being a certified chartered accountant, leaving the corporate world, and now doing holistic coaching. Um, and from there, I'm just gonna leave it over to you. How are you doing today, Nick?
Well, thanks for having me, Will. It is a great day, albeit it's hot. Um, but I'm excited to have this conversation with you. We were supposed to have this, I think, back in March, and right now, well, thanks to technology, we're also here. Who would have thought? If I didn't go through what I had to go through the last 5 years, I wouldn't even started my podcasting journey and the whole leap into entrepreneurship. So I am very, very grateful for you to be inviting me on your show. So thank you so much again.
No problem. Um, Really, no agenda here. I just want to know more about your hero's journey, your maybe your darkest moments to your lightest moments, um, where you've been, where you're going, how you feel now, and we're just going to try to find the the truth in what you're talking and doing about. And the the podcast that you host is called "You're Worthless." Is that correct?
That is correct.
And when I first read that and when I first met you, I I had to take a double take, right? Because when you first read
Everybody
that,
says that.
you're just like, well, why am I listening to this podcast? It's basically telling me that I'm a piece of crap. But when you think about it, it's not you're worthless, it's you're worth less, but you're repositioning your mindset to being a person of worth.
Yes.
and and because it's a self-development podcast, a personal development podcast, a mental health podcast, it makes total sense. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that journey, because I think you're what, on 250 some episodes in 3 years, 2 years.
Oh, you did your homework.
I do
I
I
mean,
do my homework.
okay. So, well, yes, thank you for asking that. And so it all started with, I think, all trauma, because I don't want to term the in hindsight. Growing up, I've always been this overachiever. Now, overachiever can be coined as good, um, and bad, right? So my dad has always told me, okay, education is key to changing your life. Therefore, you know, get good grades, get the good paying job, and get the money, get everything else. So, but don't get me wrong, I love him for that because he's one of my biggest supporters in life. And so I bought into that notion of, that's what life is, chasing external things, validations. And so I conformed to that growing up, the A student, everything. And then by 17, I left home and I went to venture out on my own, still within Malaysia. Um, I'm from the east side of Malaysia and I went to the west side. And that's where all the other students go when they want to go for work or pursue their higher studies. So I did the same thing. And that was 17. So I had this thing in my mind where what's the fastest way for me to enter the workforce and get good paying money, and where it and get a job that's actually that every industry needs. And being an accountant was one of it. So I wanted to become everything. I wanted to become a pilot, I wanted to become a cardiologist. But again, piloting means, you gotta pump a lot of money into it. And being a cardiologist, again, you gotta invest at least 10 years of your 20s at least to be specialized. And that means, dedicating your whole life to that cause. So I like the prestige that comes with it, but then the effort behind it. So I said, okay, what can I do now? So I looked up all the courses online and I got this CA, so an accounting, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Was a science stream student, but I took accounting as a additional subject, and I scored, so that started my whole journey into accounting, and because it was safe. So um did the studying, and because this degree, it was a professional degree, so you could do it while you're working full time. So I did that. Excuse me. I did that, and I think in the second year of my university year, my dad told me, hey, I cannot support you anymore, because you're living in the capital, right, of the country, and they said you need to get your own job. I mean, I can support you at least 50%, but you need to get your own job. So I did. I did not drop. I did not drop. I finished it, thank God. But I went and I did it part time and full time working. So I entered the workforce at a very young age, 19. And since then, the whole idea was, get to become, at least get to the sea levels, because that's how high, because I thought that was, the only way to be happy. And I was wrong. Very, very wrong. So 24, I finished school and then climbed the corporate ladder. And I had this plan out, because being an accountant means you have to see all the angles, risk management. You got to plan out your life and what. At least that's what I did. I like planning things out. So I planned my life out at 30. I said, okay, I need to achieve this. And but I didn't plan life beyond 30. So imagine this. I wanted to settle down by 30. I wanted to be at a good paying job and, check off all of those things that I wanted to possess or acquire, which I did. But at what cost? My own mental health, because at 26, so I met my ex-husband and the ex-husband, 26. And then we got married pretty quickly. I think within a year, we got married. And 2 years after, things didn't work out. So we decided to go in our separate ways. So at the time, it was COVID. And COVID was when everything, I think it was a big reset moment for everyone. So I don't want to trivialize anybody's. I did not lose my job then, but my own trauma, my own difficulty was to grieve on the loss of the relationship, because in looking at high, because I did have to sacrifice a lot of things. So my parents, my friends, they weren't really agreeable to me, settling down that early in life, because knowing my personality or knowing the goals that I had. But I still went ahead because, you really think that it's
So you had reservations, but you went ahead anyways.
yeah, I had reservations in, like, okay, at least you gotta wait for some time, at least 2 years, to really solidify the relationship. But I had this notion of, oh, if there's somebody who's actually asking for my hand in marriage, and that must mean, see, get this, that must mean, the narrative that I had in my head, that person loved me more than I loved him, so might as well go that route. And I think we did yeah, we were best friends, but there were circumstances that actually did not support or facilitate us growing in the relationship, and for me, the during that, there was my ultimatum was, okay, if one party is not really faithful to the other party, and to what, because faithfulness is, we could have another episode about this, or a whole podcast series on this, but then that was my what do you call that, yeah, the deal breaker. So, and I said, okay, when that happened, and I know it's not because of just one party, it's two parties. Yeah, when you're in a relationship, whether the relationship succeeds or it fails, two parties are equally responsible, to that, for that, you know and I told him, okay, this is not going to work out, let's go our separate ways. So that was in 2019, and then it was at the height of my career, and that was the first time I've been alone, by myself, like not in any relationship. And then I was like, and I had no choice but to really sit with that feeling, with the grief, and face everything that's, because I've been trying to say everything's gonna be okay. You're an accountant. You've gotten yourself out of, really, excuse my language, shitty situations before. I'm sure you could work this out by yourself, and COVID really amplified all those things. It forced me to really look those parts that I didn't want to look at. And so coincidentally, the job that I was in, that was like the best job as an accountant. Everybody wants to go there, at least before, during my time. So I did. But I was seconded in projects that were like really ridiculously short, and ridiculously, the demands were very, very high, and I got my burnout. So I took sabbatical leave in 2021 for 2 months, and then that really started my that spurred the whole thinking of, is this right for me where I am right now? Because number one, when I left the relationship, I really felt worthless. Hence, that's the impetus of the name of my podcast. And so I said to myself, okay, Nick, if love, the relationship department is not, it's not for you. Let's just focus on what you do best, which is studying and working, and then getting the bag. That's what they call it, right? In America. Um, so I did, and I tried to focus in that direction, but everything, you know, shit hits the fan too. And that's when I started. So I was scrolling, I went into Carl Jung, the philosophy, Taoism, everything. And I'm pretty sure you've had your own take at that, Will. And I really, really questioned everything that I knew before. My foundation. What was it? Like, who I was. So in a sense, I had to lose myself to find myself again. And 5 years in, that was in 2019, 2020, and right now, rebuilding. And since then, I've pivoted to not from move from corporate to my own practice, and continuing with the podcasting. And also, I met a person, I think, yeah. a person from LinkedIn reached out to me, and he was a astrocartographer. And yeah, and I was like, okay, that's astrology. And also cartography. Now cartography is
Mapping.
exactly. And he was, and the way he was putting it on his feed was like, okay, I am, get this, okay, get this. So he was from Costa Rica, and then he's moving to New York City because of his um his astrocartography says that this is where he needs to find his next evolvement, where he's going to evolve better into his higher self. So I was like, okay, I found it. And then I invited him for an interview on my podcast. And it's like, Nick, I really, really appreciate you inviting me. But then I had time to sit with it. And I think I truly understand your message and your mission behind your name, the name of your podcast, but it feels like it doesn't sit well with me. You're wordless. So because of that, I'm actually in the midst of rebranding my podcast because I finally realized that we're never worthless, and we are worth it, and we are more than enough. So in summary, that's the story right now.
And that, well, thank you for sharing that, because it's personal and not everyone is able to be that open, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
and
I go ahead.
for me, authenticity is everything. Um, if and that's also my coaching method. Realize your worth, be authentic, and you'll become abundant in all areas of your life. So yeah, you were saying.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, considering what you've been through, do you still think the picket fence, are you familiar with that term, the picket
Yeah,
fence?
yeah.
Do you still think the picket fence is possible, or is
It
within our
is. It
gener
is very much
yeah,
so. But then, as long as it's aligned with my mind, heart, and soul,
or is the picket fence different? Is it a different milestone for us?
right? It's a different milestone. But oh, don't get me wrong. I still love the nice things, but it's not those. Those are the goal. Is not that. It's the person who I become while I get there. And whatever it is that I'm building right now and in the future, it has to sit right with me. And what is the whole purpose or reason that I'm doing that? And I don't like conforming.
Yeah, I've noticed. I've
Yeah.
noticed that.
Really? Okay. Um okay. Yes, I don't like conforming, so you know what? Might as well, Nick, go, because not everyone's for you and you're not for everyone. I've learned that. And you just have to have your own tribe.
Well, and this is the question I'm going to ask you: is besides yourself, who do you rely on most?
Ooh. Right now,
Anytime, now, past, present, or future.
physical person, right? I mean, I
Like
rely on
not
the
not
universe
not
because I
God, not God or a higher source. I'm
okay,
talking like a
okay.
physical
My
person in
my
your life.
my family would be that, and
Okay.
some very very close friends.
Yeah. And
Yes,
would it be likewise? Would the relationship be reciprocal?
yes. I I think in the last 5 years have I think they have seen me isolate myself. I think we talk about this, and
Hmm.
I have slowly filtered out a good number of people out of my life, because I feel that we don't resonate anymore. And I think that that is it's because friendship is a very big part of my life, and I'm very outgoing before, but right now I'm outgoing for the for my highest good. And what does highest good look like? If the conversation we're having is not imbuing me with values, I don't think I would want to invest my time and energy into that. I guess if I could distill it to just one phrase, if I'm with my friends or the people that I'm with, how do I make them feel, and what would they talk about me when I leave the room, you know?
Well,
So,
you
yeah.
you you make a good point. Is what do others say about you when you're not there?
Yeah, yeah.
And you want to hope that they're positive things. I mean,
Um it could be positive or it could be negative, but then if it's negative, then that means we're just not we're
aligned.
yeah. And we don't vibe. And why is it negative? Is it a projection, or do you don't like what I'm doing? That's why I said we're not out here to please people. We're just here to be ourselves, really.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that's happened to me. I mean, because our paths are similar but different, but maybe from the male North American perspective.
Mm.
Where I'm from, at least in northern BC, Canada, the fastest and quickest route to so-called the picket fence life is trades. A trades route is generally you pick up a trade at a young age out of high school. You go to work for, in my case, would have been BC Hydro. If I had have stayed on the course that I was on when I was 18, I'd be working for BC Hydro and be a good halfway to retirement by now, in a sense.
Mm.
But you would have never met me, and I would have never started the Doomer Bloomer podcast or the All Truths Only, because the person that I needed to become was the person who diverged at 19 after going to engineering school, realizing that I didn't like sitting in a classroom, and I went traveling instead. I went and lived in a youth volunteer group called Katimavik in Canada. I learned to integrate in other communities, how to volunteer for different organizations. I met French speaking people for the first time in my life outside of a classroom setting. And I learned what it meant to be outside of a 1,000-person town for the first time in my life.
Mm.
Right. And when you come from such, I don't want to say restricted, but when you come from a very traditional farming small town environment and you've never been experienced to any of the things outside of that small little bubble, and you open your mind to the wider world that we live in and the different cultures and the different sort of ways of being and engaging in the world, you come back a changed person. At least I did when I came back in 2013. um, and then from there I got back to the trades, but I never really lost that connection to other cultures and other ways of being and doing things. And I think I started on my polymathic journey, in a sense. Right. I mean, I'm like you in a sense that I chose a relatively safe career, a
At some
traditional
point, we all
career.
did. Yeah.
Right. But I think the highest version, or a version of myself, I think just wants to go do improv and make people laugh, or do stand-up comedy. And because I always enjoyed acting, and I still to a degree enjoy acting, but the podcast in effect has served a similar purpose in that way. It's helped develop my voice, it's helped develop my public speaking skills. I connect with someone as far away as Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Kuala
I have
Lumpur.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't pronounce half the stuff, right? I have friends in St. Petersburg, Russia. I have friends in Australia. I have friends everywhere and all over the world, and I value those connections. So if I had just stuck to the straight and narrow path, like you were discussing, like you wouldn't have the richness of being, I don't think, that you would do now, even despite some of the setbacks and the hardships, because I truly believe that we're forged. Pressure makes diamonds,
Yeah.
right? We're not. If we lived a life of of easiness, like if everything was easy all the time, then we wouldn't develop a certain amount of mental toughness or a certain amount of mental and physical resilience. And I think personally in the 2020s and beyond, the people who are capable of creating things, being creative, using the blend of the internet and their skills to create something unique. I really feel that those are the people who are going to be great change makers in the future, or and presently, to be honest. Right? How do you feel about some of those concepts?
When you were saying those things, the first thing that came to mind was the fact that if I had stayed, or if you had stayed in that path towards that white picket fence path, on that path, somehow, because we don't know what other people are experiencing until we're in their shoes, right? So I might see, like, so again, being the competitive person that I was, and maybe a part of me still am, but then in a good way where I'm competing with my previous self, not with other people. So I was with this friend. So we went into the same. He at the time he was interning. I was already a full time staff, and he went and stayed. I jumped out and I tried different industries, and he went and stayed at one, and then he jumped to the job where the company where I was, the one that I had my burnout. So he only took, it was only I was at the time, I joined at least four companies and he just joined two. So he stayed the course, and right now he's actually a an associate director. And at the time, if I were to think about it, and we came in, we were at the same, I was actually at a level higher than he was. So at first, I really thought, who is Nicolette if I had stayed, if I tried if I were to try to stay, and I really couldn't find the reasons as to why I should really go against my own liking or the joy. Why is it that I want to be at that position? Is it because of what people will perceive of me? Oh, Nick is successful already when she's there. And why I'm saying this at the time, why I'm saying this is, if I look at him right now or any other ex colleagues that I have, they might have stayed in the same work, or they have left and whatnot. They're also having their own trauma moments, because nobody is exempted from that. And as much as we like to think that they're successful in what we perceive as successful in our own terms, they might be going through some shit as well. So truly, even if I stayed, or even if I have diverted, which I am now, we are meant to be where we're exactly where we're meant to be, one way or another. So could be the timing is different. Maybe they would stay and retire there, and maybe they would also move because of, some force by the universe. Because if you are on the path but it's not for your highest good, I believe, at least in my life, universe will always find a way to yank you out of it if you're not heeding to its advice. Will give you subtle signs, it'll give you subtle nudges to say, hey, you're actually on the wrong path. And that can manifest in, you know why are you so stressed, and why are you constantly worried about the world, number one. Or to me, the simplest is my work. Like, I used to not sleep, I used to pull all nighters. Because what? Because I want to chase for the promotion, or because it's what's required of me. And I mean, what is required? Why do I have to bend myself like that, and be, and if I mean, God forbid, drops that tomorrow, they're just gonna find another person to replace me. Maybe 1 or 2 days they're gonna mourn, but then after that, what? So I didn't want that. And I think, coming back to your question, the what I think of the concept is, truly there's no right or wrong path for everyone, and it's all just timing. And again, I think I mentioned to you, time is an illusion. Time is where that time is the only thing that makes us see how we've evolved. If there's no time, past, present, and future is now. So yeah, I might have gone a bit of a off tangent here, but that, at least that's what I think.
Well, you're not wrong. I mean, having experienced the psychonautic journey that I have had experienced, I can tell you for a fact that time is a human construct.
Yeah.
The universe in that degree doesn't think of time in a linear fashion. Um, so, and I've also come to the realization there's no such thing as wasted time.
Yeah.
It's just where you were at that period in your life in order to learn the lesson that you had to learn.
Mm.
And until you learn the lesson, you're going to keep repeating the same actions and the same results. You've heard the expression, doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result.
Yes.
And that's the definition of insanity.
Mm.
I think a lot of people are living a life of insanity. At least I was personally myself until about 5 years ago, 3.5. Well, actually, yeah, 2022 really was my turning point in a lot of regards because I had put aside a lot of my childhood and adult trauma that I had not dealt with, and it just kind of it was time for me to confront 25 years of my life,
Yeah.
which a lot of people are not willing to sit with those emotions,
Yes.
right? Like all the way back to 9 years old, I had to actually rewind the clock in my mind to 9 years old,
Mm.
and I had to, with the near photographic memory that I had to relive almost every traumatic moment of my life, which was really shitty. But it's an experience that I needed to have in order to progress to the version of myself that I consider myself version 3.5 or version 35 of myself. So the version of myself, the 3.5 version of myself, can show up fully, have a real conversation, and be authentic and not pretend that he doesn't have things he has to sort out because everyone I think has things they need to sort out.
Yeah.
But I'm a person who believes truly now in the value of doing the work on myself, going to counseling, therapy, whatever you need to do, taking medication. The person that was prior to 2020, prior to COVID, everyone had their COVID moment, as I call it. Um, that person was stuck in old ways and old ideas and old identities. And to truly break free of that muck, I had to let go of that version. It's why I changed my name. It's why I upgraded myself to a new or a better persona. And I truly actually at 30, I decided to love myself with the warts and all that I had. Right? I think personally the highest thing, the best thing we do as human beings is to love unconditionally. And until you learn to unconditionally love yourself, you can't expect other people to love you if you don't have self-love first, right? And become truly a heart-centered person.
Hmm.
Um, like I don't know how much you are into chakras and that sort of thing, but you know I know my heart center is a green heart center, um, but it took me a long time to develop those abilities, and I didn't really lean into my empathic side for a really long time, because as empaths, as you probably know, we have to try to protect ourselves first before we're able to give to other people fully, because
Yes.
we take on the energies of other people, and we tend to overgive and not replenish ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to do that and recharge. So I hope you're taking the time. I mean, it sounds like you're on that hero's journey that we were all talking about, right? It doesn't sound like it was the best for you, but it was also the path that Nicolette had to take in order to become the version of yourself that's sitting in front of me right now, having this conversation, right?
Exactly.
And right, and I can also relate to the the rebranding of the podcast. Like the original version of the podcast was called the Maple Truths. It was going to be a news show. Then I started interviewing people. I started 4 podcasts. I have the Daily Taoist. I have All Truths Only. I have Yukon Gold, and then I have the Doomer Bloomers, and they're all important to me because they're different subject matters of the things that I was studying at the time. And when I go back and I re-listen to those episodes, I can remember and I can relearn the lessons that I was trying to teach myself, but teach other people as I was learning at the same time. I mean, it sounds like that's kind of the journey that you have been on as well. So I really hope you don't think of yourself as worthless anymore.
No, I don't. So I want to go back to the part where you said loving yourself. I remember one fine day I asked a friend, like, can you help me? Do you have, like, I don't know why, but I'm very restless. And he said, okay, Nick, why don't I have a friend who knows how to read tarot. So I said, you know what? F it. Let's go. I don't know. I've heard of it before. This was in 2020. I heard of it before, but I don't know what it does. But I've always been interested in this metaphysical type of things. And it's okay. Just invite him. So we did. So he did the sessions and whatnot. He did few sessions, in fact. And the only thing he told me, I remember very very vividly. He said, Nick. So I kept on asking him, okay, where am I gonna go work next? Am I gonna be in the country, or am I gonna go outside? Who is my this and this? And now it's just all those very. It just shows like how limited my mind was in terms of what I could do, what I should do next. Well, I had that burnout. After I had that burnout, so it's like, Nick, there are so many paths for you. I can see at least three here, but the first thing you need to do is you need to love yourself. And I said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I love myself. I mean, I take myself out to the nail salon, the hair salon, I go for massages. I love myself. Yes, you do, but not in that sense. You need to love yourself. So he repeated that at least three, four times. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, thank you very much for your sessions. I am going to sit with that. I don't, to be honest, I thought he was bullshitting.
You're very skeptical as a person, I can
Of
tell.
course, yes, yes. Because I don't at the
Despite being in metaphysics, you're very analytical in that sense.
before, you see, before, yeah.
Yeah.
So because I mean, who is this person trying to tell me how to love myself? You know? Um
Who's this jerk face
exactly. It was like
telling me to love
I
love myself? What are you talking about? I go to
yeah,
the nail salon all the time.
exactly, yeah. And um and I think, let me see, 1, 2, 3. So I was offered three. positions after that, which I really thought that I had no way after that, because my self-esteem was battered in that organization, and I really thought that nobody's gonna hire me anymore, despite my accolades and achievements. But I still got three offers, and he said, "Okay, Nick." I said, "Okay." Going back to the session, which one should I take? So you take the one with the, that's gonna contribute more to your retirement account. It's like, okay, I mean that makes sense as an accountant. So I did, and then he asked me. I asked him. I asked. I remember asking him, "Should do I go? Am I going to be abroad or am I going to be in Malaysia? Maybe this time in Malaysia still." Okay. So I did, and all the things that he mentioned actually manifested in reality. And I didn't think of it so much at the time, but I think 1 year, 2 years in, I started becoming obsessed with tarot. Like I was pulling cards, like it was like a way for me to just connect my with somebody out there, the higher source. Because I really, really thought that God was already abandoning me because of what happened in my relationship and what happened with my job. These are the two biggest things in my life besides family. And if two-thirds of this are taken away, I mean, what do I amount to now? You know? And I started looking at everything: astronomy, astrology, theology, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, everything under the sun. And actually, the whole thing is just you don't need to seek for things outside of you because everything is within you. You just need to be brave enough to really look at the parts that you try to hide away. And that started my own journey. Like I started questioning everything. I started questioning, like you, I went back to at least 5 years old or 3 years old, the narrative about money. Why do I have to freaking work so hard just to get X amount of money? And why is it that I need to prove myself to know that I am enough or I am lovable? And yeah, those things. And but one thing that I noticed as well, because okay, no, I really believe in what you give, you get. So I just wanna stay in my own lane, and I just wanna do my best. But sometimes life is not that linear, or life isn't that fair, because no matter how you envision something to be, at least this environment, okay, so let's say it's a working environment or a friend group that you want everybody to succeed in that friend group genuinely. Some people are not just they don't have the same heart as you have, and that's sad. And I used to blame myself because why. And I believe that if I keep on doing, if I don't retaliate or just move away from it, you know karma will take care of itself. And I've moved, not to say that I've never done anything bad. I mean, my sister can actually attest to that and say, no, Nick 1.0 was it's so different than who Nick is right now. But at work, because I have to admit, I people please so much to the point that I it was against my own conviction. But not to say that, but I value integrity very much. So any time that I see that my integrity is compromised, I'll move away. But that's the thing. Whatever that happened right now, up until this moment, I can see that what you really put in, you'll get back. So I mean, just to make it long story short, when I left some situations before where I think I wasn't treated very, very fairly, sometimes things would happen. And God will actually, if you're lucky enough, God will show you, or the higher power will show you, okay, now, see, you did not stick around, so that's actually your, it's for your highest good. And whatever that's been done to you, it's been taken care of. And if you are lucky enough to see what happened to them or those situations, then yeah, if not, go on your own merry way and continue developing yourself. So that is my take on some of the concept. Oh, and then the self love part.
And what's next for Nick and
Okay.
Nicolette? What's next for you? What does your crystal ball say?
My crystal ball is saying,
What do your tarot cards say?
well, okay, I haven't. Okay, funny thing is because I left some of my stuff back at my sister's place in Kuala Lumpur. So right now I'm back at my parents' place, and as much as because I still do readings, yes, but the intuition is saying, Nick, go build your own brand. So there are few projects at hand, and I'm trying to build a legacy here. I think we all will at some, in some form or another. And so don't get me wrong, I still love the nail salon, I still love that massages, right? So I've always wanted a wellness thing set up on my own, in my own, not in my own name. So wellness spa is actually on the way. And you're hearing it, and I think everybody listening hearing it first here. I've never said it to anybody just yet, just between me and my dad. So he's finally approving of me jumping into entrepreneurship. Although he said, you know, being a parent, they always want the stable, they always go to that stable route. They want you to be stable in your income and whatnot. And I'm like, I get you, but I still want to do this. So that is that. Um, what else? Yeah, just truly this year is the year that I've gone full force on my business, and I've been consulting some people formally, informally here and there last year, but this year is that okay. So Nick Nierras Holistic Lifestyle is the umbrella, and then the podcast is actually the marketing arm for it, but it doesn't really jive anymore. You're worthless. So I think I've processed all the lessons that I needed to process then, and I think I'm going to be rebranding it.
Do you want to workshop some titles right now?
Well, I have already. So
Okay.
I think it's gonna be the what it's
You're awesome, boss.
no. It's gonna be it's either no, I know it's gonna be a Nick, it's gonna be called Nick Nierras, the Nick Nierras frequency.
Or Nick Naris experience.
I know, but then it's gonna be just like, Mr. Rogan, so
No,
I don't
yeah.
I don't wanna I
But
don't
but think of the search engine optimization
I
there.
know, right? No, but then if it's the Nick Nierras, I mean, if I searched my name a couple of times on Google, so it's still it is still those yeah. Well, I'll think about it. I did want to put it at Nick Nierras experience, but then
I
isn't it
think
isn't
that
it
has a
isn't it
certain
too obvious?
no, it
It
has a
has the
certain ring to it.
right?
It has a Nick the Nick because I think you are an experience. I think we're all you're an experience, right? And
Yeah,
I think it's true to you. I mean,
right? Because
a frequency is true to everyone, but an experience is true to you, right?
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna sit with it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna let it I'm gonna
just
let it
sit with it.
cook. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll let it cook.
Just let it cook. She
Yeah,
says.
exactly. I'll let it cook. Okay. So that guy spurred that moment of, okay, maybe it's time for me to change, and you here right now telling me that, okay, maybe you should keep it as the Nick Nurse experience. So I don't know. I'm a let it cook.
All right. Well, is there anything you would like to touch on before we wrap up this Nick Nierras hour,
Um,
or
well,
close to an hour?
is it my last message? What do I want to
No,
leave the listeners view?
it's your second to last message if you want it to be.
Oh, okay.
For
I
any doomer bloomer out there, think about who you were when that divorce happened to you and you felt you were worthless. Just explain to other people that maybe that's not always the case, or that's just this shall too pass moment, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah, if I could just, yeah, maybe we'll take that as an example. So every experience, everybody has different experience to whatever that they go through in their lives. But one thing that I can, a common denominator is if you if you don't go through what's right ahead of you, you're just denying yourself of the next version of yourself, of you need to become. So I have friends who stay in shitty relationships because they just because number one it's for the kids or for the bills. They've got bills to pay, monetary reasons, economic reasons. And but I just want to tell you that there is a way out, and you don't need to have like the the best job. Okay, well, it's easy for Nick to say because she was in corporate and she really, at least she planned out something in her life, and then well that happened and she made the move. But that is not right, that is not correct. Even if you're working 2 to 3 jobs, you just need to set your mind into it. Like you just need to think about what is it that you want to do next. Is this the life that you want to live for you? Or if you have kids, if you were to stay in the same relationship, especially if you're in an abusive one, there is a way out. And I help people who's in those situations because I lived it myself. Not the abusive part, but there is a way out for you to transform your pain into power. And life doesn't end at 25, 20, 30, 45, 50. It doesn't end there. I mean, God forbid. As long as you're still breathing, you can, and you're allowed to pivot anytime. You just need to give yourself permission to do that. And that does not apply only on relationship, but also apply on your, it applies on your corporate, it applies on your business as well. So let's say people who are in business, I've seen it, or who are in business, but then they say, okay, Nick, I think the purpose that I have with my business is already, is has served its cause. So I'm going to move back to corporate. Yeah, because I feel like I can now leverage my skills in the corporate world. So, you know what? Go do it. It's not just one way, it's two ways. So if you want to go back to corporate, that's fine. And if somebody in corporate right now listening, they're still 9 to 5 and they're still like debating whether they want to go, of course you can go. You just need the right mindset and the right strategy in place. And I help people do that. So
Is that who's your ideal clientele?
people who feel stuck in their relationship, in anything, in any areas. But I hone in the self-esteem part, confidence building, to realize that they're actually not stuck. And then from there onwards, if they know that there is a way, that there are actually steps to go out from the situation that they're in, and they go do it. They come to me and I help them with that.
And where would they be able to find you online and in the interwebs?
Ooh, thank you uh for that, for letting me pitch myself out here on your platform. So those people listening outside, I would like to say thank you for giving me your time. And if any of this is resonating with you, you could book a call with me or just check out my free hypnosis audio. It is a guided meditation. It's an element to my coaching because I do rapid transformational therapy and hypnotherapy. That means hypnosis. And that's number one. Number two, I have digital guides as well if they're not ready for a one-to-one just yet. But if they're ready to quantum leap wherever they are right now to the next version of themselves, they can do that for a one-to-one coaching with me. And all of this, you can find it on my website, www.the holistic with a W in front of the H, lifestyle.com. I am also present on IG at holistic with a W dot lifestyle underscore with Nick, though I need to update that. And I'm very much active on my main account, which is I am NJ Nierras on Instagram as well. And you can also check me on my podcast. It is right. It's still Your Worthless podcast, but you've heard it here. I think by the time this is out, I think I probably would have rebranded it. So yes, and I'm on LinkedIn.
And you're on LinkedIn. All
Yes,
right. Yeah. Aren't we all fed up with how much LinkedIn has become like Facebook?
I know.
I know I am.
I don't want to go. I don't want to complain because I've got people are resonating. They're finding my content. They're a little bit. It's better well perceived in terms of my podcast. So right now it's just penetrating that market in LinkedIn as okay, Nick is from a podcaster now. She also has a practice. So that's where the tweak that I need to do right now. And yeah, I'll give it time because anything worth having or anything worth building, you need to build a solid foundation for it. So
So you got to let it cook, in other words.
exactly, letting it cook.
Well, thank you so much, Nicolette Nierras, for your time, your experience, and your service. Thank you for sharing your story with me and the Doomer Bloomer audience. As always, you can find me out there as the Doomer Bloomer podcast, All Truths Only, Will Nemo on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and God forbid, TikTok, the place where the internet goes to die. And I love each and every one of you. And namaste. Cheers.
Namaste.